Everyone, welcome to your weekly edition of Show Me How It's Done. My name is Lauren Urbonis, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Now, I know that our holiday catalog has launched. It looks like this for those of you who have not yet seen it, but I'm still in a summer mood. It was plus 30 here still yesterday, and my kids are off at school, but I need a semblance of summer still. So we're gonna do a card that I had a lot of fun showcasing at my August monthly club, but I wanted to share it with you. It is featuring the Seaside Wishes bundle. This can be found in our 2024 to 2025 annual catalog on page 73. And while it is just a standalone bundle with stamps, an embossing folder, and dies, there are some great paper packs in our collection that complement it really nicely. The one that I'm going to use today is called Country Woods, and it has a beautiful array of wood grain papers. I almost wonder, give me 1 second. I've been making these little paper charts to showcase some of our papers. Let me just see if I've made one for that yet. Sorry, it's upside down. I'm going to put these up in my craft room. Oh, there it is. This is the one I'm talking about. Country Woods. I thought that this definitely could go with any sort of seascape. So I'm going to use this paper pack today to go with our card. You want to see the rest of the papers? I guess I can still show you, because soon they'll be up in my office and you won't see them. Country lace, lovely flowering, beauty. So these are all the paper packs from the annual catalog. And then my next project, of course, would be all of the papers from the holiday catalog. Speaking of holiday catalog, if you do not have a demonstrator and you are in Canada, please shoot me a note. I'm more than happy to pop one of these in the mail for you. Or you can always check out this and anything else that we're using at my website, laurenurbonis.stampidup.net. So, on to the fun. We're going to be making one of these two cards. I just showed you both the versions, both with like a blue kind of color scheme and the pink. You can tailor them to whoever you're needing to give this to. I did think perhaps if I was giving this to a guy, I would maybe switch out the pink in my little corals for like a blue, like maybe Misty, Moonlight, or even Night of Navy, just to kind of make it a bit more masculine. But I was pretty happy with the two alternatives for this card. So if you would like to follow along, I have put all of the measurements in the description on the video, so you can hit the pause button, cut all your pieces, and come join me. Or I will also walk you through with the measurements as we go. You can hit pause whenever you need to, of course, and you can always come back and rewatch if you've missed something, or shoot me a note, because I'm not perfect either and I forget things. So we're going to start off with a card base. I'm using Misty Moonlight, and I'm going to be cutting it at 4 1/4 by 11. And you'll need a score mark here at 5 1/2. So the other alternative is just to fold that piece of paper in half. That's exactly what you need. And we're going to start by putting something on the inside. I have a little rip here, easy to fix. Throw that onto the back and nobody will know. So on the inside of our card, we always like something to write on. So it's going to be a piece of basic white in our case, and that will be 4 inches by 5 1/4. And you can put that on with any sort of flat adhesive. So I love my double-sided tape, but if you are a seal or a glue person, you grab those tools for yourself. Don't worry, we'll get into holiday catalogs soon. We'll be doing some fall cards right away, and then of course Christmas, because I love Christmas. But you have to indulge me. I wanted one more summer theme. Now, I ended up with some scraps of designer series paper after I had finished prepping this card for all of my club members. And I never like to throw strips this size away. So what I did is I just chopped it up and we're going to use it to decorate the inside of the card. If you're working on a project and you've used up everything from your package, don't stress about it, but never throw these strips away and don't even bother keeping something this small. Put it on the inside of your card, make use of it, and you will be so much happier. So this one ended up being about 3/4 of an inch wide by 4 inches long. However, if you have something even 1/2 an inch wide, 1 inch wide, those will look great as well. Just make sure to use your scraps. You don't want to have them just sitting on your shelf. To be honest, they end up stressing me out. I feel like I should use them, but I haven't. And then, I kind of end up moving past them because there's so many things that I want to keep working on. So this just adds the tiniest little bit of decoration to the inside of your card. And I do think it makes quite a difference. It's really pretty. Now onto the front. This has a lot of layers, and you will forgive me for that because it's going to be beautiful. This is going to be a little bit extra work, but it's not too bad. So my next layer, I'm making the pink version here. I'm going to cut a piece that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and this is just my little soft petal pink. This piece I'm going to pop up on dimensionals because I want it to kind of be coming out of the card base a little bit. So we're going to pop that up on dimensionals. And add it right to the base. That should just be centered with a tiny little border right around it. Now you get to start going through your designer series paper and picking the piece that you'd like to go next. So I have this guy here. I could just as easily turn it over and have a very strong wood grain, but I like the pink tones, going with that theme. So this one is going to be 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and I'm putting this piece on flat. So I know it's tempting to dimensionalize everything, but we do have to be cautious of that slot of doom with Canada Post. So I find if you go up about 3 dimensional layers, that's your sweet spot. You can't go any bigger than that. All right, and once again, just centering that right there. Okay, that's section 1. There. All right, now for section 2, that's going to be this little label here. It's up to you. You can work on this on or off of your card. I find it quite easy to do on the card this time. Sometimes I prefer to do a decal kind of off and then add it onto a project later, but I think it's easy enough, so I'm going to add it onto here. So I've grabbed a piece of cardstock that is the same color as my card base, and that's how we're kind of bringing our card together. If you want to do something completely different, go for it. This is your project. You could match the pink in the back here. You could grab something completely different, like a brown or a green, but try and tie your cards together with certain focal points so that people aren't, getting lost in all of the different colors. You want something that kind of blends things together, which is why I also matched the pink of my little scallops and corals here to the pink in the back here. All right, so this piece here, let me just double check my measurements. So I'm giving you the right one. We need this to be 2 3/4 by 4 1/8. and that's getting popped up on dimensionals. So here's dimensional layer number 2. Ah, my nail. I had fun with my nails this time because I wanted something still summery, but I also realized we're going into fall. And this is a very weird year for me. I've used orange more in my card projects than ever before because I was playing with them with the Charming Duck Pond suite. I never used orange paper. And then I went with orange nails because I like this butterfly look. Isn't that fun? I like it. Alrighty. Got that layer. Now we need another layer of designer series paper. Again, these always have 2 sides. You can pick and choose what works for you. So your DSP, this is going to be 2 5/8 by 4. And that will go flat on here. It barely has a border. Okay, so I wanted to showcase as much of the designer series paper as possible. I kind of made that shift from this sample where I had a bit wider of a border. I decided I wanted it to be really subtle. So it's your choice. If you wanted to trim off even a tiny bit more of this, you can. But I really was maybe just trying to cheat because cutting this 4 inches across is far easier than cutting it 3 7/8. So who knows, maybe I'm just getting lazier, but I do like this subtle border. Very tiny here. There. Okay, now is when you're going to put this to the side. We're going to start cutting and prepping all of our extra pieces, and then we'll start assembling onto the card here. All right, job number 1, we need to make these beautiful sand dollars. So I wanted to show you guys from scratch how to do that. You have a choice. You can either just stamp these 2 sand dollars with crumb cake onto some white paper, and you can use this die to cut them out. But when you purchase this bundle, you automatically purchase the embossing folder at the same time. Sometimes with bundles, you'll purchase a stamp and die and then an embossing folder separately. But this embossing folder is called a hybrid embossing folder. So it's intended to be used with the coordinating die. So this is what I'm going to suggest you do. So we're going to grab our embossing folder. We're going to grab the ink that we want to use. I'm using crumb cake. And we're going to grab a little blending brush. So if you've got the small ones, that's what I prefer when I'm doing an embossing folder because I can get into these little grooves. If you've got the large blending brush, it's totally fine. If you don't have either, maybe you've got a sponge dauber or even a Kleenex. Okay, whatever you have, you're just wanting to pick up some color and add it onto your folder. Now we're going to color on the side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo. So if you're worried and wondering about that, side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo, and you're going to add this brown, this crumb cake, into that space. And it's very easy to clean when you're done all your projects. You can just rinse this under cold water and it will come right off. But I had this out for at least 30 people to use, and we just all used the same thing and we didn't wash it in between. It's easy. Okay? Now, before you add paper this time though, you have to add your die because we're embossing and we're die cutting at the same time. So you'll feel it when it clicks into place. If it hasn't kind of clicked, if it's resting somewhere it shouldn't be, you'll be able to move it. But right now it's solid, it's good. I'm just grabbing a piece of paper. This is, I think, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I just took a piece of our regular cardstock and chopped it into 4. All it needs to do is cover up the sand dollar spaces. It doesn't have to cover the whole thing. Okay. Now, hold this tight. You don't want to move it because some of your ink is going to already start touching on spots, and you don't want those being moved. We've got our embossing machine, or cut and emboss. I'm using platform number 1. Sorry, it's not going to want to focus. Platform number 1. Then we're putting our 3D embossing folder down. And then you will use your 3D embossing plate. Now keep in mind, this was the original plate that Stampin' Up! Sold, so that's why it's bluish purple. If you've purchased your machine in the last, I think, 3 years or maybe even longer, the plate will be gray. It's the same thing. Oh, there's balloons on my screen. Weird. I don't know if you guys saw that. And now we're going to roll this through. I feel like it did that one other time, and I have no idea how it did it, and it doesn't really matter. Balloons are fine. All right, now when we open this up, take this out, you do have this fun little section that you can use for a different project if you want. You can use some of these bubbles, but for my purposes, I don't need it. I'm just going to set it to the side. What I need are these little sand dollars. And I could have just done them in white, but look how pretty it is with that shading. Like, they look so natural, and it was so easy to just do that all in one shot. Now, from the die set, I also did go ahead, I should show you the whole die set. I did go ahead and use some of these grasses. I cut one of each of them in the soft Seafoam, and I cut both the large and the small of these little, I don't even know, I keep calling them corals. What would be the correct term? Somebody who's ocean-wise can tell me. I didn't use the little sands or sea stars, but if you want to, you certainly could sub one of these out or even just add them to the mix. Those are really pretty if you stamp them first and then cut the shape out. But completely up to you. You have little rock stamps as well. I'm just going to use this stamp here. All right. Large and small, and 3 little grasses. Let's put those on, and then I will show you how to do the sentiment section. Alrighty, make sure my card's facing the right way. I'm going to start with the largest of my sand dollars. So you have 3 different sizes. Start with the largest one, putting that on flat. Nice and flat with some tape. Going down in the background, just right at the top. So you can flip it around, see what you want to see, because keep in mind half of it's going to be covered, but that just takes up that entire space right there. Okay, next we're going to add our grasses, because those are going to go right here, and it's up to you how you arrange them. When I had the class, some people split the grasses up. They put some down here, they ripped them in half, so they had them coming in all different directions, but this is just how I did it, so I'll walk you through that. I found it easiest to use glue dots for the rest of these little pieces, because they're very tiny and kind of tricky to get on. So I'm gonna go with this like evenly S1. Again, I'm just walking you through what I did. You can do it however you want. That one's going to go up near the top here for me. Then we've got this guy here. Next, largest one. Just putting glue dots near the bottom of them, because we're going to be hiding most of the end of these. And here's the tiny one. I think that one I flipped around just to get a different direction. There we go. All right. We need the largest of our beautiful coral piece. Putting one glue dot on there. And we're just flunking that down kind of in the center of that sand dollar. We're doing good. Next layer, we need the medium sand dollar. And this one I am going to put up on dimensionals because it's getting a little full here. So the easiest way to do that, just put a few dimensionals onto the card base itself. Then you're not going to have a wonky, lopsided sand dollar. A few on this left side. And it can come off of that little base a bit. No stress about that. I am going to pop this next one up on dimensionals as well, but we don't want that lopsided either. So once again, just put dimensionals onto the card base, a couple of them because it's a small little guy here. And popping that guy up right there. Last but not least, we have that one little coral. One more blue dot for that. And we're just tucking this guy underneath. Might have to lift up a dimensional if we weren't careful, or we can cheat, show you how to cheat. Nobody's gonna know if you just cut off a little bit of that. Tuck this up. See, it fits, and nobody knows that we had to cut that off. You could even tuck this somewhere else if you wanted to. Okay, so far so good. Hopefully we're all on the same page. Give you guys just a second to finish gluing, but of course, just hit pause if you need more time. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a really fun sentiment. So you have so many dies at your disposal. We have beautiful rectangles, circles, squares, banners, whatever else you have. But with a card like this, I wanted a really rustic look and a really natural look. So I like the ripping. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Stampin' Up! Is now offering scrapbook supplies ever since we've kind of bought out the inventory from Close to My Heart and teamed up with some of their well, they were called makers, but they've joined the Stampin' Up! Family now as demonstrators. Stampin' Up! On September 4th released a little holiday scrapbooking brochure. It's not available in print, but it is on my website, so just go to laurenarbonus.stampinup.net and click type in scrapbooking in the top. There's now two-tone cardstock. So I don't have that stuff in yet because I wasn't able to order it until September 4th. But when you rip that two-toned 12 by 12 cardstock, it has a white core. And so this technique is going to look amazing with some of those papers in the future. We're not there yet, but we will be one day. So we're going to mention it now. Grab a sentiment of your choice. I'm just using one from the Seaside Wishes that says your friendship is the best gift. But I did grab a happy birthday set as well for my attendees. I can't remember, I'm sorry, which set I stole it from, but if you need a different sentiment, don't be afraid to work outside of the stamp you're working with. So I used Calypso Coral for that ink, and I just stamped my little sentiment right in there. Now I'm going to come with that kind of bubbly dotted look, that sand look, and I'm just going to messy stamp all over this piece of paper. Now, this piece of paper I haven't given you an exact measurement for because, to be honest, it doesn't have one. You just need something that's bigger than whatever sentiment you're using, if that makes sense. So I couldn't even tell you. This one looks to be about 4 by 2, and it was just a scrap from my white little envelope. It's just bigger than my my sentiment so that I can stamp in the center and then I can rip. So you're going to kind of hold with your left hand in place, your thumb, and then you're gonna pull up with your right hand. So you're ripping towards you, and that will give you this white line. They will look different every time you do it, and it will look different, you know, no matter how you do it, but just pull up towards you, okay? If you were to pull down, hold on, if you were to pull down, you just get kind of this broken line. You don't get the beautiful white showing through, okay? So pull up. Just keep rotating it around, pull up towards yourself, and up towards yourself. And there you go. You can rip off anything that you're not a fan of, fix the edge anywhere, like this one. I don't like how much white is showing, so I'm just gonna re-rip it. There we go. And then this guy here, I'm breaking my rules because at this point I have 4 layers of dimensionals, or 3 layers already. I'm gonna add 1 more to make it 4, but just squish it down. It should still fit, or I might just have to hand it to somebody. I don't know, Canada Post is being very picky lately with card thicknesses, so just be careful. And one note for you, I saw a post the other day that Canada Post is going to be raising their stamp prices in January. And I have people asking like, well, if I buy stamps now, won't I have to pay the difference? That is true of the stamps that have a number value on them. We're in Canada, so I don't know, in the States or somewhere else it might be different. But if they have a number value, like $1.40 or $1.30 or $2.09, yes, then you have to pay the difference when the prices go up. But when you buy our permanent stamp, which is the regular letter mail stamp, generally for cards like this, it is valued at whatever the current market is. So you purchase it at, let's say, 85 cents now if you go to Costco and buy a bundle of them, or maybe it's $1. Maybe it's $1 now. But they want to bump them up in price. Doesn't matter. Even if you bought them back at the original price, as long as it has that P on it, that price is permanent. You're not going to pay the difference. So this is a very random offshoot. It has nothing to do with Stampin' Up, but it has to do with you mailing your cards. So stock up now, go to Costco, grab yourself a roll of 100, and just be set. There you go. There's our cards. I'm going to bring this one back because it's pretty, and then you can see. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's project. If you did, I do really appreciate any comments or likes on the video. It just is very encouraging and lets me know you guys are watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I do encourage you to do that because you'll get a notification anytime I post. In general, it's every Tuesday at noon that a new video pops up for you, but every once in a while there's a surprise, so you'll want to know about those too. I hope you guys had an amazing summer and that your fall is going well. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday for another edition of Show Me How It's Done. Bye!